just low key, and I am. I say I am. Mr. Super Facts. I was watching this video on Facebook, and it was kind of a funny video. It was clearly a skit. And in the video, there was a interracial couple. It was like this big ass white dude and this black woman. And the white guy walked through the door, and you can tell it was like three kids. You could tell they was from her previous relationship because they were straight black. They weren't mixed. Um, and he walks through the door, and the kids run up to him, and he kind of just like pushes them to the side, and he walks up to his, I guess it's his wife. I don't know, but he walks up to his partner, the black chick, and he like picks her up, and she has a baby. She has a baby that appears to be either from the guy's previous relationship or the baby they had together, because the baby looked mixed. Um, so basically, like, I guess the point of the video was saying, like, uh, he was basically saying, like, my wife comes first. And I'm in the comment section, and these people in the comment section is going crazy. These people in the comment section are going fucking crazy because they're like, your kids are supposed to come first. And I genuinely feel, well, first and foremost, God is supposed to come first. That's just period. Creator, source, whatever you want to call it. God is supposed to come first in any type of relationship you have with anybody, because we talking about a frequency. So if we talking about maintaining any type of healthy relationship or connection, then you both have to be tapped into source. But anyway, most people not. So in the comment section, it's just like half, it was kind of like 70-30, where 70% of the people were saying like, oh no, my kid's always gonna come first. And then like the 30% was saying that, well, the 20% was saying that, not even like, 29% were saying that, your spouse is supposed to come first because they're your life partner. This is somebody that you live your life with, and your kids are gonna grow up and leave. You know what I mean? And then who you gonna be stuck with? Well, who not necessarily stuck with, but who do you go back to being with? Your partner. So, and then you have the 1% that was saying God. God is supposed to come first. The 1%. So I thought I would give my opinion on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and once again, maybe I'm not qualified to speak on this since I don't have any kids. I have more than enough opportunities to bring kids into this world, and I kind of just chose not to or whatever. But like I said, I personally feel like that frequency of the creator always comes first. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on that. But I do lean towards feeling like, I feel like your spouse has to come first, because this is the person that you meet, that you sought after, you've invested, the intangibles, and this is the person that you choose to spend the rest of your life with. It's kind of a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of what a lot of behaviors and a lot of what those children will become will be based off the interactions they see between their mother and father, between, you know what I'm saying, you and your spouse. So I just tend to lean towards, yeah, like, if I'm in a relationship and or I got a wife and I'm somebody's husband, I'm like, yeah, my wife is gonna come first, before, you know, the children, because it's like, you know, let's have a real conversation. Like, you know, it's certain like I don't want to say kids don't know shit, but it's like you can't kids aren't qualified to lead, you know what I mean? You know? So it's just it doesn't you know, it doesn't work like that. You know, it's like the kids are supposed to be the students, and the you know, you and your partner's supposed to be the teachers, you know what I'm saying? So I always felt like when people say, you know, my kids come first, especially these chicks on these dating apps and shit like that. I'm like, and they wonder why they're alone. You wonder why you're alone. You won't even put your man first. You won't even put God first. You'll put a kid that's just all over the place. Their energy is constantly, you know what I'm saying? All over the place. You know what I mean? A dysfunctional, like this is a new life. You know what I mean? A dysfunctional new soul that don't know shit about nothing. That's who's coming first. That's who's making all the decisions and shit like that. I don't see any type of productivity in that. You know, I've always felt, you know, my theory has always been just, you know, you and your partner, you're building a whole life. You're influencing like the things that happen in a home, right? It's like the interactions that take place. This little child is going to absorb that into their psyche and the memories and consciousness, behavior, whatever. And they're going to remember that for the rest of their life. For the rest of their life. They're going to remember all the interactions you had. So it's like, you know, if you're putting your spouse first, you know, you as a two partners are constantly pouring into each other, and trying to make each other better. I feel like it's naturally, you know, that cup is gonna overrunneth to your children. You know what I'm saying? Naturally. Unless your kid is just a psychopath piece of shit. Unless your kid is just a son of Sam or whatever, you know what I mean? But other than that, you know, I just don't see that. I never understood that. I feel like it's like some sort of social engineering. When people say, you know, my kids come first, I'm like, then you in for a world of misery, because you're dealing with uh, uh an adolescent spirit. You're allowing an adolescent, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're being led by adolescent, like, you know what I mean? But I don't even, it's like, it don't even make no damn sense. It's not even, it's illogical. It's not a child's place, you know what I mean, to dictate a mother's decisions or a father's decisions. You know, it's nothing wrong with being thoughtful and taking you know, children's emotions and stuff like that, their feelings into account. But you know, maybe it's how I grew up, you know, because how I grew up was, you know, my you know, like when I was growing up, it was basically like this. Like, the pecking order was, you don't run shit. You know what I mean? But we will take your whatever, you know, if you say, you know, like for Christmas, some shit, if I say I liked a toy or if I wanted something, that my parents would get it for me when I was growing up. But as far as like the pecking order in the household, as far as how, like, what decisions are being made and the direction of the family and shit like that, it's like the kid ain't had no fuck. A kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, for the family that I come from, the kid don't have no say in that. Their opinion don't come first or second or third or fourth or at all. Let's have a real conversation. You know, I was snatched out of school and moved to a different school where it was just like, it might have fucked up my whole life. Because at least when I was growing up, I was growing up in a school in an area where people that look like me and people I could relate to. And I was snatched out of that environment for better or for worse, or whatever my parents thought was going to happen. And I was snatched out of that environment, and then I was put into an environment around people that looked nothing like me. And that shit was traumatizing. Dead ass. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is to this day. And there was zero consulting with me. There was zero like, what's your opinion on this? No, it just, it just happened. You know what I mean? So it's like, in that scenario, yeah, I would have loved for my parents to sit down and be like, hey, you know, where would you, what do you think about moving here or moving there or whatever the case may be? I've always just been the type of person, I like being around diversity. I like being around different types of people and cultures and shit like that. I don't like just being the fucking, you know, the fucking token. You know what I'm saying? And then on top, if you add that with just being like a natural introvert and shit like that, I hate attention. It's just like, ugh, I hate attention. And you throw me in a situation where it's like everybody's staring at me and shit. It's like, oh man, it was terrible. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, I never understood that whole thing. I feel like it's the same thing. It's like a narrative or it's like a program. It's like some social engineering. When people say, oh, when these females say, oh, my kids come first, it's kind of like when people say, oh, but that's your mother, or that's your whatever, like that's your family member. Like, you don't. It's like, okay, but that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's like, um like I said, the source should always come first, and that, and if you got two people in tune and tapped in the source, and honestly, you know what I'm saying, that means that they're tapped into divine love. Let's have a real conversation. So if you have two people that's have a connection that's based on divine love and gratefulness, yeah, that's the true definition of like a power couple. You know what I'm saying? And that whole, like, a relationship is not gonna. Unfortunately, the truth is a relationship is not gonna last. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be resentment. If I'm in a relationship, like if I have a wife, and then my wife just starts like giving all her energy to our children, look, as human nature, the husband is gonna be like, yo, what the hell? Like, the husband is gonna be like, yo, hold on. What about me? Where it's just human nature, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, I lean towards just, if you're gonna settle down with somebody or whatever, your spouse definitely 100% comes before your children. You know what I'm saying? And your children, everybody has a role to play when it comes to any type of like household or family or whatever the case may be. Everybody has a role. And like they were saying in the comment section, you have to maintain that relationship with your spouse, because in just a couple of years, you know, with your life partner, because in just a couple of years, you know, you only have a certain amount of years to like teach those children how to be a sane, logical, respectable, productive human being. You know, you only have a few years to do that, and a lot of the learning they're gonna pick up is from their actions. I mean, from your actions, what they see, the interaction. So it's like, if you just put your life partner first, because once they go out into the world, they're going to be looking for everything that they were exposed to, consciously or subconsciously. Those kids are going to go out into the world and they're going to be looking for a life partner as well. And if you was dismissive to your spouse, they might end up being subconsciously dismissive to their future spouse, right? If you was abusive to, they might end up being abusive. Let's have a real conversation. You know what I'm saying? But if you was constantly pouring into your partner, that's something that they'll naturally, and in theory, that's something that they would naturally pick up. You know what I'm saying? Me, I ask people all the time. I'm like, yo, do you know anybody? Because I personally don't know anybody in the world. I don't personally know anybody in the world that's like happy in a relationship. Me personally, I don't know anyone. I don't know any two people that I could look to in my real life and be like, oh shit, they're like happy. Maybe one of my exes like recently got married and she had a baby, but it's like I don't talk to her like that or whatever, so I have no idea what's it really like going on behind the scenes and shit like that. Because a lot of people, a lot of females are on this like clock where they feel like, the societal clock or whatever, where they're like, oh, I gotta get married by this point in time, I gotta have kids by this point in time, I gotta I gotta have the career by this point. All of this bullshit. It's just man-made social engineering bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Just for people to feel like socially, validated by strangers. Let's have a real conversation. So it's really fucking irrelevant. But I personally don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. And I ask people all the time. I'm like, do you know anybody like that's in a healthy, happy relationship that they're not breaking? They look like they're gonna be together forever, and I don't know a single fucking person. Everybody I know is in a toxic ass, fucked up relationship. Everybody I know, you know what I'm saying? They're not being put first in their relationship. Dead ass. It's as simple as that. I don't know anybody that's being put first in their relationship. Let's have a real conversation. Everybody I know, they're getting verbally abused, they're getting physically abused, they're getting taken advantage of, they're getting cheated on, or motherfuckers just not even emotionally available, spiritually available, so on and so forth. It's disgusting out here. It's ruins. It's like like the dating pool is looking like Mad Max right now. It's sad. It's sad, man. Hold on. And I just ask myself, like, why? Like, I like start analyzing relationships, and I'm like, okay, so you see somebody on the dating app, or you see somebody in real life, and you're like interested in them for whatever reason. And then so you approach them, you get their phone number, you start talking, you go on dates, you have sex for the first time, talking all the time. And then it's like, there's this moment where you get into your first argument, and then it's like, okay, now you start treating the person like shit. And it's like, why? Why do you go through all the stages of creating a relationship with somebody just to treat them like shit? I don't understand. If that's the case, you could have just went and had sex with a prostitute and skipped all this other shit. Could have just got you, you know what I'm saying? Could have just got you a streetwalker or something. Vice versa. The female could have went to, got her a gigolo. She could have called Deuce Bigelow if that was the case, man. So I'll never understand. I analyze human behavior and relationships and shit like that. But, at the end of the day, like the last page of the book is just, the moral of the story is humans suck. Human beings suck. humanity sucks. Mankind sucks. That's it. That's the moral of the story, man. That's the moral of the story. So I would love to like find people that's in a relationship and like just study them and be like, you know what I mean? Like, do y'all niggas exist? You know, when I'm in a relationship, I pour into mine. Like when I'm in a relationship, look, I pour into my relationship because I know, the alternative. I know what it feels like. You know what I mean? To be in a whole fucking relationship, dating somebody for months and years or whatever, and just like feeling like you still single, feeling like you still alone. So it's like when I'm in a relationship, I don't take this shit for granted. People just be acting like there's always gonna be somebody that wants you, man. And it's just gross. I could never have that outlook. People be acting like I could just make one phone call or whatever. I could send one text message and I could be in a brand new relationship. Yeah, well, no. Just because somebody want to fuck you don't mean they want to be in a relationship with you. And a lot of people get that shit fucked up. Let's have a real conversation. You know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion on that. I lean towards you always got to put your spouse first. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's a lot of situations might vary. You never know. Like if you're not growing together, you're growing apart. Let's have a real conversation. So if you're in a relationship with somebody and they not trying to grow with you, then I guess I can understand that you have to make a shift. You can't keep pouring into somebody that literally is going out of their way to just grab your cup and pour it out onto the dirt. Let's have a real conversation, right? So I understand, like, sometimes you might have to adapt, but I do feel like if you got somebody that has your back, let's have a real conversation. If you lucky enough to have somebody that's, you know, agrees to be your life partner and you're gonna ride together and look out for each other, then yeah, that's your spouse, your partner should always come first. It should be God and then your spouse and then the kids, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Because the alternative is, it's a very lonely world out here, man. And I'm not even tapping into like I'm just talking about a basic maybe even less than mild spiritual person, because once you tap into spirituality, you basically the devil want to isolate you for the rest of your fucking life. So that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. You know what I mean? Because before I tapped into what's really going on, and it's just like and this invisible war that's going on. I was always in a relationship. I always had a chick I could hit up and hang out with and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But once you wake up to what's really going on and we fighting this invisible war, you know what I'm saying? They want you to be isolated. They want you, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, they want you to feel that. They want you to feel that isolation. They want you to feel that loneliness, man. Let's have a real conversation. But once you conquer that, once you get over that, you know, you damn near you damn near Super Saiyan, So it is what it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. It's low key, and I say I am. You know who I am. I just I think just a lot of people need to like, you know, be open, be open to updating their paradigms. It's nothing worse than like a person that's just stuck in their ignorant ways. Let's have a real conversation. People that's just like you know, this is who I am and take it or leave it, or people that's just like, you know, it'll be new information presented all the time, but people just, you know, just stubborn and don't want to be better. They don't want to be better for themselves. They don't want to be better for their partner. They don't want to be better for their children. You know, it's just like a real fucking just, like I say, that whole like that spirit of just like, you know, it's really truly it's just weakness. But you know, a lot of these people are narcissists, man. And I always say that you know, like narcissists are the cancer to this earth, man. If we had to like compare, you know, like that's truly how I feel about that, you know. And I felt like I really do feel like big big pharma need to come out with a pill or some shit to cure narcissism. You want to make the world a better place, you got to kill that disease of narcissism. Let's have a real conversation, man, because it's only going to destroy your life. You know, the fucking ego and all of these things like that, man. So that's a video. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. The people in the comment section, it was going off, but it's like, you know, a lot, once again, the average person, you know, they see like the video, and it's not just this, it's all types of shit, but they'll just watch a little clip or something real fast, and they just run to the comment section, and their emotions just take the wheel, you know. And you can tell, like, you know, if you actually tapped in, you can tell, you can read the comments and be like, oh, this person is just being fucking emotional. They're just reacting emotionally. They're not, you know, responding intelligently. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing worse than that, man. It's nothing worse than like a person that just doesn't even try to understand what the hell is going on. You know, you know, it's insane. So that's the video. I'm gonna catch you on the next one, man. So.